Hey everyone, I am Terra Newell. I am the survivor of Dirty John Meehan who took him down in self-defense. If you are new to my channel, that is how I am quote-unquote known in this true crime world. And today I'm going to talk about how I'm processing after an EMDR session, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It is a type of therapy where you basically go through your trauma, you stay in that moment, and you create that like a bilateral function with either tappers following something across the screen if you're doing it remote, or basically something that awakens your sixth sense and adds another sense onto it. And so you are able to stay in the moment while process through your trauma and kind of have another outlook on it. This is also equivalent to, say, 10 talk therapy sessions, and it really helps with trauma for a lot of people. There are people out there too that don't really care for it. They do it, they don't have a great experience with it, and that's why I'm talking about my experience. And this is really honestly probably around 50 sessions I've at least had from EMDR, and today I kind of had to process around me avoiding a situation where I do this thing with my trauma where sometimes I really want to do something, I think it's going to be fun, and then I deep down think about it, or something happens that triggers me to go back to my trauma or have a flashback, and then that makes me go back into more EMDR so that I can process and work through that. So today I had to process around me literally canceling a boxing session. I was going to go take one of those classes, a class at Box House, to see this one instructor I know. So I know her outside of things, and I was thinking that was going to help. But then it comes down to it, and I'm really thinking about how I'm not a fan of boxing or just hitting a bag, because I don't get why people hit unanimous objects because of my trauma and what I had to go through in my attack and defending myself. So today I really had to ponder upon that. I had to think about that, and then I canceled. I didn't go. And then there's that sense of guilt that comes with canceling, because you know you're trying to do something good for yourself. But then for me, I'm thinking of the hysterical state that I might go into going into a boxing class and hitting the bag, because just doing the action of something can be triggering to my trauma with my attack. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to cancel because I'm going to go into hysterics, and it's not going to be a good thing. I'm going to be just distraught afterwards. I'm not going to be able to function. And so I canceled the class. And so my therapist and I had to really process around that, because it's not healthy to avoid things and to not go to a class just because I'm going to be triggered by the class. So we went into processing that today. And for a majority of the call, though, we did talk about some other stuff that's been happening in my life, some personal things, and something that I really had to process around with a significant other right now. And also the session before that, though, I really had to process around some other things, talk about some other things that were happening with my life, get her up to date with my relationship status, whatever that may be. And so I got to talk about some of the fun stuff first, but not really fun. And so when it came up that I was having flashbacks, and I even went into a berries class and just walked out of it because the red lights triggered me. It triggered me to have flashbacks of me seeing blood. And sometimes it feels like I'm living in a horror movie, because just the images that come across my mind from going through my brutal attack it's hard to see that. So for me, I think a part of my escapism is actually watching horror movies because I know that those aren't true. So that is a part of the process. And okay, I'm getting distracted now because I'm trying to avoid the boxing. So we went into it and we started going into an EMDR session. I'm doing it from the comfort of my bed. I see the ball go across the screen and then I'm following it, going through the memory. And my brain is just processing this as it's coming up. And I start to think about another memory that comes up, a childhood memory. And I'm thinking about the blood from that event and how basically I need to take care of the situation. I need to take care of it. And that's just kept on coming up for me. Then we kind of like stop, we talk about it. Then we go into another memory and we just go into that. As I'm going into that, I'm going into the boxing and I'm thinking about the action. I'm thinking about me having a meltdown. And I'm going into thinking, why do people hit unanimous objects? People don't even know. Like this, like doing this, like I had to fight for my life. And hitting something like you don't even know. It's just fun to people. And I started just processing around that and how even in yoga sometimes I'll do the bicycle kicks and I will stop doing them because I don't want to be more triggered. And then I start to think about the actual act of me defending myself and kicking the knife away. So then we go further into that. We stop, we process, and then we keep going. We keep on going. It brings up more memories. And then I really process through it, if that makes sense. I kind of come to this final realization moment. And then what I'm really getting out of is that it triggers my trauma to come up. I don't understand why people hit unanimous objects. But I'm going to try to do this for fun. Try to have fun. Not so get into it and get into my head. And because I process around it, we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to make a plan to go with a friend where I can kind of laugh and have that support. And then go from there and see how the next session goes. Right now with my therapist too, I really call her and text her when I need to do a session. I've been trying to do it every 3 weeks. But today is really the first time in a while that I have processed and did an EMDR session. And every time I kind of do an EMDR session, it kind of hits you like a ton of bricks. I mean, not all the time. Like there are some here and there where you're like, oh, I have a sense of deep clarity. And I do have a sense of deep clarity from this. But it was so heavy, and the images that came up, there was just lots of blood. I even had a picture in my head of American Horror Story where they're burning the witches and the blood's draining. And that is associated with my life, apparently. And, it doesn't really come up a lot of images that I see on television and stuff, but somehow I associated it with that. And so it was something, the images that come up are really hard to see a lot of the times. And even talking about it now is really hard because I had to live in a horror movie and I really had that experience. So it's just hard. And days like today, I'm like, I don't want to put on makeup. I took a nap afterwards. I called a friend, but then I felt like I was going to faint. So I just had to lay down and take some time for myself. And that is how I'm processing. And I'm even processing talking about it in this video, but I'm also making sure okay, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to perform right now, and I'm just talking and I'm going through it, and there's not pressure to be perfect right now in any way, or even really look at the camera and just perform. So I'm just processing through it right now, taking it easy. If you're doing EMDR therapy, I recommend that if you plan days where you do EMDR, don't plan anything else afterwards unless it's like a yoga session or your favorite workout class to get your body moving, because you can also become a little bit of a grump afterwards. Things can trigger you until they kind of get settled, and it's really beneficial for me, but other people have gone through this, and the moments where they get super triggered at times, they've been like, no, I don't want to go further into this. And so if you are doing EMDR, it's a lot. Just don't stop at your first try, but also make sure you have a therapist that you like, that you feel supported by, and that has really given you the tools to really be healthy after this. Because if I have done this years ago, I could have been so triggered that I don't know what to do. And so we always come up also with a game plan of maybe we do a hike afterwards, maybe we do a nap, or maybe we take it easy and we still feel supported. And it's great to have that support with a really good therapist. And so I thank everyone for listening to my little rant about my EMDR session today. And I hope it was helpful for you. And I will see you guys next time. Check out my video with Hollywood Wade and check out all my other interviews. And there's more videos on EMDR therapy. Feel free to subscribe and also check out Terra's Baddies Club. Have a good day, guys.